Do lo dong wo je be do no par je be ge tar ba dan tam je kem be bar du cho pra je ba tam je ge su je be ma nang ka dang nam pe sen chen tam je de wa dan den dung ao dan de ne de la na me ba ya da ba so be chan ju ren po je do pra ja da la dong wa je be da no bar je be ge thar pa dang tham je kem be bar du cho pra je pa tam je ge se je be ma nang kha dang nyam be sen chen tam je de wa dan den tung ao dan re ne de la na me ba yang da pra so be jan ju ren bo je to pra ja da la dong wa je be da no bar je be ge Tarpa dhan tam je kempe bardu chopra je pa tham je ge su je pe ma nang ka da nyam pe sen chen tam je dewa dhan pe dung ngao dan de ne de la na me ba yang da pra so pe chan chu ren po je to pra ja de je de sang ma ge ge bardu lo nga ye sun Gewala go mashi bardu longa yisum gewala go du dedeng ne sunde ne ma santa samye bardu longa yisum gewala go sangye jodan soge jonam la changchu bardu dani gyabzu je dagi jinsu gebe sonang Chola penchir sangye dubra sho sangye jodan soge jonam la chanchu bardu dani gyabzu je lage jinsu gebe sonange Chola penchir sangye dubra sho sangye jodan soge jonam la chanchu bardu dani gyabzu je lage jinsu gebe sonange Chola penchir sangye dubra sho Kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyundan dambara gyurje dungyao dang dungyao gi gyudan dewa gyurje dungyao mebe dewa dang me dewa gyurje niring chadang nidang dewe dang nyong la nebra gyurje Kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dan dewe gyundan dembara gyurje dungyao dan dungyao gi gyudan dewa gyurje dungyao mebe dewa dami dewa gyurje nirin chadang nidang dewe danyang la nebra gyurje Kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyundan dambara gyurji dungao dan dungao gi gyudan dewa gyurji dungao mebe dewa dang me dewa gyurji nirin chadang nidan dewe danyang la nebra gyurji Bajra samaja, bajra samaja, bajra samaja. Alu semchen kungi gungi ruchen tude pungche meze jomze la. Ngona malu jishin yiken gyurbe jomden koje nedir sheshu so. Argyam padyam pushpe dubbe aloke gende nevede shabda prade jaso sashi buju jushin medo tram rera lenshi ninde gempadi sanje shingla megde bulwa ye roku namda shindu chobra sho jase wadang jojing shabada jesu yirang kushin sowa ye gewa chungse dagi jisakpa 탐제 소배 장주 철옹 Again, let body and mind settle into their own places. Trusting that when you get out of the way, your body will settle naturally. When you get out of the way, your mind will settle naturally. Both finding their own places of ease and rest. Recognizing the qualities of sitting in the Vairochana posture. Legs crossed if possible. If seated on a chair, sit in a way that is even and minimizing fidgeting and moving. Sit unmoving like Mahamudra, like a great mountain. With your back upright, shoulders open, left and right arm relaxed, two hands holding the mudra of meditation, chin tucked slightly in, gaze downwards, lips and teeth touching, and tongue resting in the palate of your mouth. As we settle the body by referencing these pointers, notice how breath becomes even, smooth. Invite breath to slow down. Allow mind to settle into its own place. Let body settle, let mind settle, let breath settle. When these three are in alignment, then all the conditions for cultivating the mind comes together where the physical body, the energetic body, and the mental emotional body, all three bodies aligned together, serving as the basis for the three kayas, Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Dharmakaya, to manifest. Physical body turns into Nirmanakaya. Energetic body turns into Sambhogakaya. Mental emotional body turns into Dharmakaya. If the seed of loving kindness and compassion does not run for the benefit of others, it will not be rewarded by gods or humans. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this foundational attitude. Cultivating loving kindness has 4 parts, according to our manual, starting on page 14. First, the cause for generating loving kindness. It arises from remembering the kindness of one's parents, abbots, teachers, and so on. Among these, the kindness of one's parents is greatest. How great is their kindness? They have given food as vast as Mount Meru, clothed us in garments as plentiful as the southern clouds, and given milk as vast as the ocean. They have wiped away all that was wet and moistened all that was dry. Remembering such kindness is the cause for generating the mind of loving kindness. Second, the essence of loving kindness. As it is said, loving kindness arises upon seeing a cherished child. Thus, the essence of love is the inability to separate oneself with fervent affection from those who are greatly kind. So using the very natural feelings that arises when we see a cherished child, taking that feeling and directing it to those whom we cannot bear to be separated from, those who have been greatly kind to us. Thus, the essence of loving kindness is the inability to separate oneself from those who are greatly kind. Feeling fervent affection for them. Third, the enhancement of loving kindness has 2 parts: cultivating loving kindness based on one's present mother and extending that to all sentient beings. First, as mentioned above, through remembering her kindness, single-mindedly cultivate loving kindness for your mother. Radiate towards your mother, father, the one that you cherish naturally. By cultivating in this way again and again, a heartfelt loving love for your kind mother will arise, such that you do not wish to be separated from her. Second part is extending this to all sentient beings. The loving kindness that arose for your present mother, expand it now further and further towards all beings everywhere. Cultivate it towards all sentient beings in the eastern direction. And if it does not arise for all these beings in the eastern direction, then return to focus on the loving kindness that you feel towards your mother, towards your father, towards the abbots, teachers. Then again, with the loving kindness that arose towards your mother as before, now cultivate with great intensity towards all sentient beings in the eastern direction. Eastern here denoting basically the direction in front of you. Then cultivate loving kindness in the same way to those to your right, to your back, to your left, in the directions in between, the front and the right and the back and your left and front. All here given these directions such as south, west, north, southeast, southwest, northwest, northeast, and also above and below. Again, the loving kindness that arose for your mother, consider all sentient beings as vast as space before you and cultivate by expanding that Maitri to pervade all of them. If it does not arise in a way that is expansive, then again cultivate loving kindness by focusing, zooming back in onto one person. Then slowly again try to expand it further and further until it covers all sentient beings as vast as space. May you be well, may you be happy. May you remain well, may you remain happy. May you know how to take care of yourselves happily, joyfully. Fourth, the function of loving kindness. The function of loving kindness is to prevent all unfavorable conditions and obstacles from arising. In other words, as pointed out in a separate teaching, loving kindness is also what will give rise to the opposite of these obstacles, the opposite of all these unfavorable conditions, which is the ability to magnetize, to attract, to bring very naturally all beings towards us. And finally, ultimately, even after attaining Buddhahood, loving kindness functions to defeat all the forces of the hordes of Maras. And instead attracting all that is friendly and benevolent towards us, all that is supportive, all that is protective, gathers around us, because we have cultivated, radiated Maitri towards all beings without exception. All beings, all adverse conditions, all adverse beings, beings that we have negative connection with, all those can be transformed through cultivating Maitri. Enemies become friends. Harm bringers become supporters through the power of Maitri. Second, compassion. Cultivate thinking. How pitiable are all mother sentient beings as vast as space, especially the enemies who hate me and all of us, the obstructors who harm us, and those who create obstacles to liberation and all knowingness. From the White Lotus of Compassion Sutra, it says, if a bodhisattva, a great being, possesses one single quality, all the qualities of a Buddha will be in their hands. What is that one quality? It is great compassion. Here, great compassion doesn't only mean boundless compassion, unbiased compassion, limitless compassion. Here, great compassion also means a compassion that is informed by, powered by the knowledge of the lack of inherent existence in any and all phenomena, in every single sentient being, the lack of inherent existence. When cultivating compassion, karuna, when developing this feeling, how pitiable all these mothers of mine. When that cultivation is embraced by understanding of the lack of inherent existence, even in the midst of all this suffering, when it is done that way, that's when we call great compassion. So great is not just a matter of limitless, unbiased. Right? It is great because it is blessed with, it is empowered by insight, wisdom. Therefore, cultivate this compassion until tears stream down, your hair stands on end, and your mind is overcome with the thought, how pitiable are these mothers sinking in the ocean of samsara. Though they desire happiness, they engage in the causes of suffering and experience its results. They are ignorant of the methods to abandon this. Not being cared for by a sublime spiritual friend, they are like blind people without a guide. How pitiable are these mothers of mine. And so, when we cultivate this, we learn how to soften. We learn how to not be judgmental with ourselves, with others. And elsewhere, we learn that cultivating compassion is the way to achieve the Buddha activity of destroying the afflictive emotions, destroying the obstacles. This is the destroying or subjugating activity through compassion, not through aggression, the very opposite of compassion. In the Vajragilaya teachings, one of the most important lines it says, Vajra wrath cuts through aggression. Doje trope shedang zhe. Doje trope shedang zhe. Vajra wrath cuts through aggression. This Vajra wrath is compassion. Third bodhicitta has two parts, aspiration bodhicitta and action bodhicitta. First, for aspiration bodhicitta, generate the thought, all enemies who bear hatred towards me and all of us, obstructors who would harm us and the mandala of Mara, the dark forces that create disharmonious conditions and obstruct the attainment of liberation in all knowingness. May all sentient beings as numerous as space, especially our father and mother, those not yet liberated from the ocean of samsara, be liberated. Those not yet freed from the bondage of defilements be freed. Those who have not yet found rest in the Shravaka vehicle or Pratyeka Buddha vehicle be brought to rest. And those who have not yet fully transcended suffering, I will lead them to completely transcend suffering through the Mahayana. This is the great vow, this is the great resolve. From the Bodhicayavatara, the moment that bodhicitta has been generated, those who are weary, bound in samsara's prison, are called the children of the victorious ones, and become worthy of homage by the world with its gods and humans. And from the sutra requested by Maitreya, if a bodhisattva possesses one quality, they will abandon all lower realms, will not fall into the hands of evil companions, and will swiftly and perfectly awaken to unexcelled complete awakening. What is that one quality? It is bodhicitta, the perfectly sublime and superior intention. Therefore, apply yourself in this with great intensity. Then generating action bodhicitta is also extremely important. From the Bodhicayavatara, from aspiration bodhicitta, although great results arise while in samsara still, it is not like the mind of action bodhicitta, from the vow of action bodhicitta, from which merit arises as a continuous stream. Therefore one should think, Until I reach the heart of awakening, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. For as long as I live, and from now until this time tomorrow, I will take into my experience this Mahayana profound path of the union of the creation and completion stages. The benefit of action bodhicitta vow is described in the Bodhicayavatara again. From that moment on, even when one is asleep or becomes heedless, a great force of merit, an uninterrupted stream equal to space, will continuously arise. Thus, it is crucial to focus on these three: loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and their benefits are immeasurable. Glorious Pamodrupa said, with the river of loving kindness not being cut, the root of compassion being well moistened, and the tree of bodhicitta fully flourishing, cause the fruit of the two benefits to ripen, I pray. So again and again, we should return to earlier parts of the text as we learn. As I said, this particular program, we are using this manual to get a taste of this whole path of the fivefold. There are some very pithy instructions of the fivefold, especially in the collected teachings of Gyalpa Rinpoche, scattered throughout. Here and there, I'm finding more and more texts where the title doesn't say anything about the fivefold. But then when you go into it, suddenly there it is. Sometimes just like one sentence, the fivefold, the fivefold, the fivefold. So then I think yesterday, Renee, or the day before, reshared a number of documents. One of them is this teaching, this booklet compiled and distributed during the Damlazu. These pithy, short, very brief, but very helpful instructions that Kyabje Nuba Rinpoche, the main Drigung Kagyu Rinpoche, a very amazing teacher living in Nepal. So his disciples has compiled different instructions that Rinpoche has given on the fivefold over the years, and put it in this one very handy volume. Please refer to that again and again. And you can get so much from those pithy instructions. It gives you a greater sense of, how the fivefold is to be cultivated within many different contexts, not just in one like extensive manual, not just like you have to take a year and a half to fulfill all the accumulations of 100,000 this, 100,000 that. For sure, and there are those traditions of practice, and for sure, and that has brought great results for many people. But as a comprehensive system, especially in the Drigong, we say this is a complete path to Buddhahood. As this comprehensive system, it works. This fivefold works on so many different levels. So it's not just a one rigid way of practicing. It's like it's overarching organization of all the teachings of the Buddha, distilled from the sutras and the tantras, and presented as one cohesive, complete set. So please also look at that. So we are, in our kind of overview of this one particular manual, and reminder, this is the earliest detailed manual of how to cultivate the fivefold Mahamudra. And this manual, in subsequent generations, in the next 1 or 200 years, different great masters would further develop this manual, fixing things, editing, cleaning it up. So in a way, you could say maybe this earliest extensive manual is not as smooth as you may expect, but partly that's why I like it. It gives a flavor of, less rigid in a way. So anyway, so one of the later texts inspired by this is the one composed in the 16th century by Gyalwa Kunga Rinchen. Gyalwa Kunga Rinchen in the 16th century is considered by the lineage to be one of the most important lineage holders in the history of Drigong Kagyu. Of course, founder Kyoba Jigten Sumgön, needless to say, is most important. And then really, I think the next really major figure that in retrospect, later tradition looking back, the next most important, crucial to preserving the lineage, to the continuity of the lineage, I think it is fair to say, is Gyawa Kunga Rinchen in the 16th century. So much so that among all the lineage holders, he is the only one that has been identified as the emanation of Gyoba Jigten Sumgön. So in Drigong, unlike, for example, in Gamakagyu, the founder of Gamakagyu is first Karmapa Dusung Khenpa. In the Karmakagyu system, they believe that the first Karmapa Dusung Khenpa, after, kind of founding the Kamakagyu lineage or the Kamsang lineage, continued to return again and again. So now, down to now, you have these list of 17 Karmapas. So the founder of Karmakagyu, Karma Kamsang, reincarnates. In fact, they were the ones who started this institution called the Tuku institution. Yeah? So first Karmapa was Kyoba Jigten Sumgön's Dharma uncle, because Jigten Sumgön's root teacher was Dharma brothers with first Karmapa. But in Drigong Kagyu, we don't have a tradition of saying Kyoba Jigten Sumgön. Came back again and then again and again and again, and to this many lifetimes. But on one occasion, in the person of Gyawa Kunga Rinchen, it said that he was an emanation of Kyoba Jigten Sumgön, that Kyoba Jigten Sumgön prophesied that there will come a time where his lineage will be so weak, on the verge of disappearing, that he has to re-emanate to rescue the lineage from complete disappearance. And that was what Gyawa Kunga Rinchen did. So in Gyawa Kunga Rinchen's works, there is one text called Clarifying the Jewel Garland. So here, I think it's quite obvious, is referring to clarifying the 14th century text that we are using. And the 14th century text that we're using is by this lineage master called Choki Gyalpo Dharma Raja. Among other things, one of his most famous disciples, not famous during their lifetime, but now very famous, is Je Rinpoche Lama Tsongkhapa, founder of Gelug. Je Rinpoche Lama Tsongkhapa, when he came from eastern Tibet to central Tibet, when he first arrived, one of his first teachers was the then head of Drigong Kagyu lineage, Choki Gyalpo. And Lama Tsongkhapa stayed with him for more than a year, I think, and trained in the Fivefold Mahamudra, 6 yogas of Naropa, and also learned some medical, Drigong medical tradition. So Choki Gyalpo wrote this, the text that we are using, the manual we're using, is called Jewel Garland, an elucidation of the Fivefold Mahamudra. Then, in the 16th century, Gyawa Kunga Rinchen wrote Clarifying the Jewel Garland. And so it's the It's the clarifying of the Jogale of the 14th century text. So in Gyawakunga Rinpoche's text, in this stage, in this part of Guru Yoga, I want to read to you some of what he wrote there to clarify the manual that we are using. So here he says, the completion stage, so remembering, right, in the Fivefold Mahamudra, the middle three, the first is bodhicitta, the last is dedication. The middle three is idam, guru devotion, and natural state Mahamudra. These three can be divided into creation stages and completion stage, whereby the first two, the idam and guru, is part of creation stage. Then the natural state Mahamudra is the completion stage. So here, Gyawakunga Rinchen says, and this is right after the dissolution of idam practice, right? So finish idam practice now. Then here he says, the completion stage can arise in one's mind stream only through the profound path of devotion to the Guru. And that's his way of saying, and now we have to cultivate that first as part of creation stage. That creation stage is not complete if it is only focused on yourself presencing as idam, yourself appearing as Buddha, manifesting your essence in the appearance of a Buddha. Not enough, because in order to perfectly practice the completion stage, the natural state Mahamudra, you need to have this profound path of devotion to the Guru. And so here it says, the completion stage can arise in one's mind stream only through the profound path of devotion to the Guru. It cannot arise through any other means. And the early Kagyupa masters were very insistent that it cannot arise through any other means. It cannot arise through intellect, through intelligence, through reading plenty of books. All those things, of course, can serve as contributing factors. But the final quality that has to be present is this quality of mogu, devotion. So a famous quote from the Hevajra Tantra is given. And this quote is given not only by the practitioners of Mahamudra, other traditions also quote this famous quote from the Hevajra Tantra. It says, the co-emergent, so this is another synonym for nature of mind, for Mahamudra. So the co-emergent is not expressed, cannot be expressed by others. It is not to be found anywhere, except it is to be known by following the Guru to the limit of time. This is a very potent, this line. It is to be known, to be recognized by following the Guru to the time, to the limit of time, in quotes, limit of time, and through one's own merit. And through one's own merit. So this is kind of a crucial. So let me see if I can find another translation of this. Then we can look at it. Yeah. Trying to find where. Ah, co-emergent wisdom is not expressed by another, nor can it be found anywhere at all. It is to be known by relying on the Guru to the end of time and through one's own merit. Yes, to the end of time, to the limit of time. So, first, this expression to the end of time is duta, to the end of time, to the limit of time. This receives a lot of commentary. Uh, the most obvious meaning is you have to follow the Guru to the ends of time, as we would say in English. Like all the way, you have to follow the Guru. You have to rely on the Guru all the way. When does time end? Uh, in the uh, in the normal apocalyptic kind of view, it's like, when the world comes to an end, it's a bad thing to the end of time, to the ends of time. In our context, to the end of time is when Buddhahood is achieved. So past, present, future, no more in the picture. To the end of time means, you have to follow, you have to rely on the Guru until Buddhahood is achieved. So that's one obvious meaning of to the end or to the limit of time. The other meaning is it can also, it is also being explained, not a competing meaning, but a deeper meaning is the limit of time or the end of time. And limit end is talking about timeliness. So through the Guru's timely instructions, so this is highlighting the skill that such a guru needs to have. And what the disciple needs to have is merit. You build up merit. You build up merit until your merit lands you, so to say, with a guru who has the skill of knowing when is the right time, when is it timely to tell you what, to instruct you what, with what. So that's another meaning of to the end of time. Then also explained with this line is by relying, by following the Guru, again, to the end of time, to the limit of time, and also to the limit. This is saying until you are able to understand that the Guru is in fact, again, not a human person, not a person with kind of the quirkiness of the individual, but the Guru is Dharmakaya. That's the meaning of limit. Until you can perceive and experience the Guru as Dharmakaya, then you cannot stop. So this line, it is to be known by relying on the Guru, quote, to the end of time, unquote, has all these meanings to it. So, Gyawan Kungarinjin, it is to be known through the Guru's final instruction is how we've translated this in our manual, in the translation I have for Gyalwa Kunga Rinpoche's text. And through one's own merit. Okay, then moving on, he quotes Dilopa. Dilopa said, just as the essential sesame oil, though the ignorant know it to be in the sesame seeds, cannot be extracted without knowing the necessary method. So even the ignorant knows sesame oil comes from sesame, comes from sesame seeds. But without the right method of extracting the oil, then you have no access to this oil. So likewise, the innate co-emergence pristine awareness, though it abides in the heart of all beings, cannot be realized unless introduced by the Guru. By pounding the seeds and removing the husk, the essential sesame oil appears. Likewise, the meaning of suchness shown by the Guru removes the adventitious stains, just like extracting sesame oil. The Ati arrangement Tantra states, whoever cultivates that kind Guru upon the crown of their head, in the palm of their hand, or in the center of their heart, that individual will come to possess the qualities of 1,000 Buddhas. That means, at all times, cultivate the presence of the Guru. Whether above your head, in the palm of your hand, meaning right there, in the center of your heart, then you will possess the qualities of 1,000 Buddhas. Because often the way to cultivate this, you have to sort of identify someone. Who is this Guru? I have joked before, Maybe best you don't let this person know. Then, you can navigate away from some of the complications that may arise too early. At some point, the quote-unquote complications are things that you have to clear, you have to work through. But at the beginning, if there is some person you regard as this Guru, as qualified to be this kind of Guru, right? Even when you have found such a person, best not to let them know yet. Because after all, it's not, again, the human side, as we would say, of the person that you're trying to get close to, that you're using as an example. But it's the Buddha mind that they embody and they manifest, that you're identifying with, that you're praying to. So that's why another word very common in Vajrayana is called secret. So secret means, not everything is like, out in the open. So there's a secret in a good way. There's also secret in the bad way. I cover your secret, you cover my secret, then together we ruin everything. That's that kind of secret. Here, secret means private, held closely to the heart, not broadcasted to the world. In the biography published for one of the important teachers in the Gamakagyu in the US, very low-key Lama, but very diligently minding his own business, supporting the disciples who come to him. Khenpo Kata Rinpoche, who passed away at the age of maybe 100, even close to 100. He was the main Lama at the 16 Karmapa's seat, established in Woodstock, New York, KTD. Khenpo Kata was the main Lama there for all those years. And then, of course, because of the whole recognition of 17 Karmapa issue, there's lots of upheavals. But Khenpo Kata just, kind of, for the most part, just steered clear of all those things, focus on supporting his disciples. Anyway, towards the end of his life, and maybe even after he passed, his nephew, who is still there, wrote a book, a biography of his uncle. And in the biography, it's explicitly kind of pointed out that one of the qualities of Khenpo Kata Rinpoche is that even for his nephew, who is like kind of his closest disciple, the nephew who wrote the biography said he has never heard Khenpo Kata say out loud who Khenpo Kata's root Lama is. And that is mentioned in the book as one of the qualities of Khenpo Kata Rinpoche, is that he does not broadcast. And I remember in that section he says, of course, he was very much devoted, you could see, to the 16th Karmapa. And then later, when the 17th Karmapa, there are a couple of names there, but the one that kind of a lot basically consider as Karmapa Ogyentin. The book says, of course, Khenpo Kata served them, respected them. The way he is around them, impeccable. But nowhere does Khenpo Kata Rinpoche ever said, oh, my root guru is so and so and so and so. But this is really the style of the old school style, not broadcasting who your root guru is. These days, somehow it's become very fashionable, thinking that, oh, this is the way we honor. And in fact, if you don't talk about your root guru, then people even start to think, oh, he's so arrogant, never even mentions his root guru. And then people try to outdo each other in promoting and mentioning how great the guru is, This is all just obstacles. There is wisdom to this old tradition of secret. Seal your lips. Don't go broadcast. My root guru is this, my root guru is that. Then when you gather with other Dharma friends, you knowingly, unknowingly try to outdo each other in, your root guru-ness. This is all inviting trouble. Those teachers that I'm most inspired by, closest to, I can also tell you, I have never heard any of them mentioned who their root guru is. In a way, no one's business. No one's business. In a way, even sometimes, even not the root guru's business. Your business. Your own business. So whoever cultivates that kind guru upon the crown of their head, the palm of their hand, or in the center of their hearts, that individual will come to possess the qualities of 1,000 Buddhas. Furthermore, the Samaya arrangement Tantra states, cultivating the completion stage for an eon, so completion stage, right? This is like Mahamudra. Cultivating the completion stage, cultivating Mahamudra for an eon, which is an uncountable period of time, having abandoned busyness and distraction, is no match for even 1/20,000th part of the Guru arising in the heart for a single moment. The glorious Guhya Samaja Tantra states, if you excellently cultivate the Master in your heart, you will attain awakening in this very life. This is the great and wondrous siddhi attainment, through which exalted body, speech, and mind will be accomplished. So this is all, cultivating it in your heart, not wear it on your, uh, you know, wear a tag, not wear it on your sleeve, as we would say, post it on Facebook. It's so special, it's so private, it's so meaningful that you keep it quiet. The meaning of this saying is that one must cultivate Guru Yoga. As our precious Lord says, if on the Guru the snow mountain of the four kayas, the sun of devotion fails to shine, the river of blessings will not flow. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this mine of devotion. And so here, again, the first level of cultivating this Guru, the Guru as Nirmanakaya Buddha, is to invoke the presence of Buddha Shakyamuni into the space in front of us. Buddha Shakyamuni. And then try to bring to mind, to your hearts, the life story of Buddha Shakyamuni, the qualities of Buddha Shakyamuni, the teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni, all of that. Even imagining yourself being in the retinue of Buddha Shakyamuni 2,500 years ago, attending the teachings, being in the presence, being trained by Buddha Shakyamuni. Try to experience, the presence of Buddha Shakyamuni and know that he is our root guru. Then there are recitations. It says, perform the 7 branch prayer and offer your body and possessions, supplicate this pure guru. So maintaining the divine pride of being the idam. So this is an important instruction. So you do not approach the guru as a little mere worm wriggling in the ground. Oh, I'm so inferior. Oh, I'm so, Of course, if you are arrogant, then you cannot be instructed. Remember the example I gave, of the candle with the light needs to stand unmoving and upright. The candle needing light need to tilt. So thinking I know better than my guru, well, then nothing you can learn from your guru. then that's not possible. Right? But at the same time, it cannot be. Right? Oh, I'm nobody. Let me be a doormat. We think, serving the guru means let me be a doormat. No, you have to maintain divine pride, not mundane pride, divine pride of idam, while maintaining the divine pride of being the idam. Then in the space in front, above, a jewel throne, Buddha Shakyamuni. In Gyawa Kunga Rinpoche's instructions, he takes, he elaborates on the seven, what we call the seven limb prayer. The seven is to pay homage with body, speech, and mind, to make extensive offerings, right? So, so paying homage, making offerings, then exposing and laying aside of our faults, rejoicing in the good that we see, the virtues that we see in the Buddhas, in the Bodhisattvas, all the way down to ordinary beings, any and all virtues, rejoicing in that. And then the fifth of requesting the Buddhas to turn the wheel of Dharma, then supplicating the Buddhas, supplicating the Gurus not to pass into Nirvana, and then dedicating virtue, dedicating merit. So these are the seven. So there, Gyawakunga Rinchen explains a little bit, expanding on each of these seven parts. So today we'll stop here. So again, a reminder, next week we will not meet. Then the 29th, I think it's a Monday, we will resume. So we will meet tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Those of you who are doing the POA, Saturday we do have POA, the teachings on the second part of the POA text that we have. So next week we're not meeting, and then between now and maybe the new year, I'm going to revise this manual that we have, kind of fixing some of the consistency in the translation. Then there will be an updated version that I will share. So I've said I certainly understand if you need to print it out, because some of us really don't like reading tablet, phone, but also know that you will be making corrections as we go along. Yeah. So bear with me. A lot of times, the right translation only becomes obvious when we are actually engaging the text as practice, and not just ideas. It's not just a matter of grammar. It's not just a matter of catching all the grammar and the because here is the thing, especially in these early Kagyupa texts, they did not relate to language the way that the Pandita tradition related to texts. I remember yesterday I shared, there is the Kusali tradition and the Pandita tradition. And the predominant model of that we know today as part of Tibetan Buddhism, in some ways the Pandita tradition has taken over. And so, I mean, in a way, it's good, when people translate these texts, they are in the Pandita mindset. Then they think, the text, when it was originally taught, it was taught by grammarians, that every comma, so to say, but there's barely any punctuation in Tibetan. But every comma, every pause, we think, oh, it's deliberate. It has a meaning. And so translate very word by word, down to every. But actually, especially in the early Kagyupas, in the Kadampas, the ascetic Kadampas, not the philosophy school Kadampas, language doesn't function that way. It's more just some spontaneous word said that fits the occasion, the limit of time, the timeliness. The student got it. That's it, So then often you even see, in these teachings, like, for example, Kyoba Rinpoche's collected teachings, it will say, don't write this down. So you have to remember that this is the orality of this set of teachings. And it says, don't write this down. And then obviously you're like, well, somebody did write it down, Otherwise, what am I reading here? So when they say don't write it down, right, what they mean is these words are ephemeral. We don't want you to analyze it to death. I don't want you to analyze it to death. Something happens, between the ephemeral oral instructions that is fitting the occasion, the moment. And then even if you have a tape recorder to record it, a voice recorder, and faithfully write down every word, you have turned this instruction into something else now. And possibly something dogmatic in ways that it was never intended. So I think the Pandita style of reading and relating to words have kind of dominated. So then we think everything is to be found in the grammar, That's good, of course, You have to start there. So I'm not giving a theory of translation and say, let's start sloppy and make it even sloppier. I think it's very good, very important to start as literal as you can, as literal in the sense of faithful to the grammar, to the expressions. But then for that text to come alive, for that translation to come alive, chiefly it comes from using, practicing. So this is what we are helping to do, I hope. Okay, now to our Mahamudra manual, to the dedication that is on page 78. By the virtues collected in 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, May I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Changchu Sem Chorim Boche. Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyu Che. Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Nyam. Gong Ne Gong Bell Sure. It's a busy time, especially for some of you that is in Latin America. Lots of parties to attend. Please be careful with drunk drivers on the roads. Stay safe. Precious human life you have obtained. Got to guard it carefully. Mhm. So anyway, we will see you tomorrow and Friday. So ta ta, everyone.